French maker DS delivers what it hopes is its pièce de résistance with this DS9 full executive segment luxury saloon. There isn't any sensibly credible reason why you might choose one over its obvious German premium rivals, but life would be very dull indeed if all the decisions we made were sensibly credible. This car is deliciously different, elegant and replete with a DS dose of savoir-faire. You never know, you might really like it. DS does.
A slice of French savoir-faire is being promised here, a car you could imagine speeding to a moonlit assignation along a tree-lined route nationale. Sure enough, this is a full-sized executive saloon with a very different spirit, but not very different engineering. Here, in reality, is the plug-in hybrid version of Peugeot's 508, dressed for a cruise along the Champs-Élysées, or maybe a night at the Paris Opera. All the engineering that matters here, primarily a 1.6-litre PHEV petrol powertrain with up to 250 horsepower, has been carried over from that car, even though a considerably lengthier body sits upon its already stretched EMP2 platform. But that shouldn't necessarily matter if the end chocolatier confection is properly premium and delicately dressed, with a frisson of the kind of luxurious comfort at the wheel that distinguished Gallic limos of the 50s and 60s. It's not, of course, in a DS9. There's not enough that's different under the skin from humbler Stellantis Group models for that. But there are things you might really like. Refinement, aided by the acoustic glass, is class-leading. Really silent, which is a good start. Ride quality is also brilliantly judged, supple without being wafty. And that's in a test car lacking the clever DS Active Scan suspension, which uses a forward-facing camera to prepare the dampers for forthcoming bumps. DS promises an all-electric driving range of up to 38 miles from the 250 model's 15.6 kilowatt-hour battery, a figure also replicated by the top E-Tense model, the 4x4 360 version, which adds an extra electric motor on the rear axle. The 250 model's efficiency figures stack up to a combined cycle fuel figure of 256.8 mpg and a CO2 best of 26 grams per kilometre. The letters DS came originally from the French word déesse, or goddess, a fitting description for the iconic 1955 Citroën model this marque derives itself from. The DS9 won't be fondly remembered in quite the same way because there's nothing in its design that will stop you in the street or be considered particularly groundbreaking. But it's different, bejewelled with delicious detailing and undeniably elegant. Particularly in profile, where taut lines run from the headlights to the tail lamps above the flush-fitting door handles, emphasising the fact that this swept-back saloon is longer than it first appears, 4.93 metres in length. There's a two-tone black roof and, of course, big wheels, either 19 or 20 inches in size. As for the detailing, well, look at these little lights on the outside edges of the roof, inspired by the cone-shaped upper lamps of that original 50s DS. The real theatre, though, is here at the front, where the parametric grille with its outer chromed DS wings adopts a three-dimensional diamond effect and is flanked by LED headlamps with geocharge light housings seemingly fashioned from scaly lizard skin. The pièce de résistance is this Clou de Paris sabre, a chromed central bonnet embellisher that you'll either find elegant or pretentious, depending on your style perspective. There's just as much going on at the rear. The chiselled lights resume the three-dimensional scaly theme and are underlined by lateral chrome sabres, supposed to reference great French coach builders of the 1930s. Don't make up your mind on all of this quite yet, though, because you haven't seen the cabin. Behind the wheel, this DS delivers its boldest flourishes. If you like Teutonic simplicity and clarity of form, look away now. What's served up here is a glorious antidote to all that, a celebration, the designers hope, of everything that's cutting edge in French fashion. It's hard to know what to look at first. Curiously bevelled Guillochage patterned buttons parade down either side of the phallically fashioned gear stick. The centre vents that surround the unconventionally square starter button have pearled accents. Double-stitched Alcantara panels flow from either door across a fascia bookended at either corner by strangely shaped vertical vents, and an haute couture analogue clock from French chronologist BRM pirouettes out of the top of the dash at startup. The 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster screen you view through the thick-rimmed wheel is different too, configurable in a number of ways to show the information most useful to you, including a large navigation map. Everything else you'll need to know resides on this 12-inch HD centre touch sensitive display, which unfortunately has been burdened with all the climate control functions, but compensates with a row of useful lower shortcut buttons and is your access point to the excellent 14-speaker focal electric hi-fi system upgrade. In some areas, the ergonomics have been sacrificed on the altar of fashion, but you get the exquisitely stitched seats, plumply upholstered in Alcantara or two kinds of full leather, and there's plenty of cabin storage on offer. Right, let's take a look in the rear. It really doesn't feel any more spacious than a Passat-sized medium model like that Peugeot 508 back here. This impression isn't helped by the swept-back roofline, which means headroom isn't especially generous, particularly if you've opted for the optional sunroof. Nor does it help that there's not much space to slide your feet beneath the seat in front. At least the transmission tunnel's relatively low, so a third centrally positioned adult could be squeezed in at a pinch, but it would be a pinch because the cabin feels rather narrow. Still, enjoy the luxury. Even on this base model, you're surrounded by stitched Alcantara, which extends not only into the doors, but also across the rear parcel shelf. If you've gone for the focal Electra Hi-Fi upgrade, that'll be liberally adorned with various speakers. Overall, as at the front, it all feels very nice indeed. Let's finish with a look at the boot. Now, here at last, the dimensions of this car actually deliver in terms of space. In fact, it's got by far the largest boot capacity of any plug-in model in the full executive segment, 510 litres, which, if you're interested, is 23 litres more than the 508 model this car's based upon. DS includes a rear ski hatch and the rear bench split fold 60/40 for those days when you simply can't resist the allure of flat pack furniture.